I'd like to call the meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council for December 17, 2024 to order at 10 a.m. Machines are open for roll call. Five council members are present. Ms. Kognovich, Jurisic, LaFrance, and Ms. McCarty are absent. At this time, we'll stand for the prayer by Councilmember Champagne, pledge by, I'll lead the pledge.
We take this moment to acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially for the parish's natural resources. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women in our military who daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom, and we pray for our world leaders to know how to obtain world peace. We pray that this government body, comprised of both council and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all. And as this government gathers today, we pray for the wisdom to know right from wrong and the courage to do that which is right. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We got you. We got you.
Since kindergarten.
My mind's everywhere else. All right, next item, please.
And updates.
Good morning, everyone. I'll get started this morning. I'm assuming we got some people missing because of the ferry situation, but just to get started. Drainage and pipe repairs or replacements. Looks like District 7 is getting the most going on right now. It's mostly all in the Myrtle Grove area. It's not Band-Aids, it's some pretty major repairs they're doing in there. It's some 30-inch pipes, some 18-inch pipes. They're on the south side, which is the Phase 1 side of Myrtle Grove Marina Estates. When they're finished that, they're going to move over to the second side, that Audubon Drive side, which is the road that runs north of that neighborhood. That's a road that's been in terrible condition for several years. It's all FEMA reimbursable stuff. It's hurricane related from the past. It's just been on the list way too long. It's way overdue. We're glad that's all happening now. And look, just an FYI, some of this stuff may overlap with Mr. DeMarco's stuff, so he may have some of the same stuff on his list. We all go through engineering for this stuff, so some of it definitely overlaps. Street and concrete repairs, we know some of that was supposed to start in the Belle Chase area around the Thanksgiving holiday. It was delayed. It was strictly on the contract and nothing to do with us. Then they had a couple of weather events, made it even worse. I would say they almost swear they'll have it all done for the Christmas holidays, but you know, it is what it is. We have to take them for their word. They are in the process now. We're going to start some of the smaller projects. The bigger projects, where they have to bust up at least one lane at a time, that's the part we wanted them to wait and do with holiday season as far as schools go, because the school buses and the school traffic and the people in and out of some of these neighborhoods, you live in a neighborhood, you're going to go in and out of your own neighborhood, but the school buses and all of that stuff was a bigger issue. They seem to think once they get started on it, they'll have those bigger projects now knocked out pretty quick. Hopefully that is the case. When we're done the Belle Chase project, the next thing is going to be some Port Sulphur stuff, District 7 again. And then from there, we're going to jump over to the East Bank. That's Phase 3 of this project. And you're talking about within 90 to 180 days. Most of those should all be complete. And these are ones that have been identified already. Once we get these complete or almost all complete, we'll come back to you, revisit, and reprioritize some other areas in your districts that you want to jump on. Marina and Boat Harbor stuff's been going on for the last year. Point LaHash Marina, the renovations have been going on for a couple of months, but it's been minor. You couldn't even really notice it. The contractor's in there now and really making some progress. They've pulled up all of the outside slips in that area on the backside, more than half of them. They started doing the metal replacement on the cover slips in that area. They've replaced, I think it's about 80% of the water lines that were not subsurface water lines Almost every slip had a 2-inch line that came up, went through a backflow preventer, and then back down. Most of them all had some kind of damage from storms and or freezing last year. So that's all been replaced, except for the last portion over in the northeast corner. And the delay on that, for Mr. Edwards' knowledge, just in case anyone calls him, it's the one water line goes over the levee, feeds that whole marina, and also feeds Mr. Beshel's marina. So in an effort to not, hamper his business, that's why they're waiting to do that portion last. And they'll work with him on some flexible hours, the way they can go in after hours, early in the morning, whatever it was, where it won't affect his daily operations. That's pretty much all I have on this update. And then, I wish the rest of y'all would hear. The last meeting of the year from operations, I'd like to thank y'all. I think we work really well together. I know communication, look, I deal with all of your assistants. All of your assistants work great with me, and we don't have any issues. Communication is great. So thank you to all of your assistants mostly, because if they're like mine, they work way harder than I do. I'm guessing at least a couple of y'all, they probably outwork y'all. Thank y'all for that communication and cooperation that we get from y'all all the time. If you need anything, like always, just give us a call.
I'm not going to throw shade at y'all like Billy just did. But I want to start by saying I really enjoy working with all of you guys. And to echo what Billy said, I may not communicate as much as I should, but I do communicate with you guys, assistants. Y'all know anything y'all need, y'all could call me, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Round 3 of the RV non-compliance is wrapping up. We have one that we're still dealing with. Round 4 letters, we've identified maybe about 12 locations. Those letters will be sent out around the first of the year. Health Department still has some flu shots available. It looks like the flu season is kicking up pretty rapidly. Mr. Witcher's touched on the Belle Chase concrete package. Puts off a water plant. The flux capacitor is in place. Wiring is going on now. Next week, they'll start some preliminary testing on it. The completion date has been pushed back to end of January. In early January, they'll start swapping over to permanent power and start doing some permanent testing on it. The Woodlawn Fire Station, the quote came back a little over budget. Mr. Butcher and engineering is working with the contractors to kind of trim some of the cost. We should have some final pricing in the next few days. District 3 sewer, they're still working on, clearing out some of those catch basins, still working on seeing how maybe to reroute some of that water to some of those lift stations, also up to pump capacity on some of them. It's a long game. It's a pretty complex system, but it's a long game. Hopefully, this vac truck, if y'all are so gracious to pass that, this vac truck will help us out in cleaning out some catch basins, cleaning out some lift stations, and get us a little bit longer life on some of these issues. With that, again, Merry Christmas, and it really is a pleasure working with you.
Ashley Morrison, Arts, Parks, and Recreation update. Happy holidays to all, especially our community members who tune in to watch us every other week at these meetings. We appreciate the support and wish everyone a happy holidays. As an update from our department, Biddy basketball season begins today. Our first set of games are this afternoon or this evening starting at 6 p.m. We also have games Thursday, December 19th. After that, we'll take a break for the holiday season and resume games on January 7th. Registration for basketball is currently closed. We have opened soccer registration on yesterday, December 16th, and it will remain open until Friday, January 17th. The season schedule will be released on January 13th to allow parents an opportunity to plan accordingly should they wish to participate in the season. Adult League registration for 2025 will open on December 30th to include adult volleyball, softball, and pickleball. As a reminder, the fitness center at Percy Griffin Community Center will close on this Thursday, December 19th for the year. We are working on a plan to open in 2025, and we will work with the council office to see how we can continue to provide services there in the new year. Our pilot Arts, Parks, and Recreation Summer Program Partnership application is now open. The program offers community members, organizations, and current programs an opportunity to partner with the Recreation Department to expand programs and services. Information on the application is available on the parish website. We're also in this week's issue of the Gazette. And we will hold information sessions for the public on January 6th in Belle Chase, January 8th in Port Sulphur, and January 11th on the East Bank. All the sessions will begin at 6 p.m. and they will provide interested parties with more information on the application and the partnership program. We currently have construction, pre-construction repairs and updates at four parks across the parish. Those sites include Diamond, Lake Park Trails, Roger Halfin, and Leroy Harvey. Sites completed or substantially completed include the Braithwaite new play structure in Ironton Park. Beginning January 1st, 2025, rental of the Belle Chase Multipurpose Center will be managed by Arts, Parks, and Recreation instead of buildings. So anyone interested in booking the Multipurpose Center only would go through the Arts, Parks, and Recreation Department. If you call buildings, they will transfer you over and just tell you about the new booking or schedule a rental opportunity and how to reach us. So we've all had meetings on this and the books have been passed on accordingly. So we're looking forward to that and for a great new year. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience?
Clarence Brox, 156 Crossover Lane, 156 Enos Campbell Lane.
Where you live?
I've been there for 70 years, the last 2 years. It's hard.
Before Mr. Brock start, he's here today, but he lost, his mother-in-law passed on last night, so I just want to, openly give you our condolence. You not know Sister Pearl real well, so
Right.
anyway, so I know you're here, but I just wanted to show you that I'm aware that, that you lost your mother-in-law last night, and you was like her son. So.
All right, sure was. Thank you. Thank you, Ralph. I just want to ask Mr. Billy a question about the marina. About the marina. We lost the marina a couple of years ago when BP came in, and so y'all gonna do dredging also, or just fix the marina for it, and y'all gonna put up the lifts that carry the boats and all that stuff too?
Yeah, all of that's going on now. Let's call it a phase one. The dredging part is a phase two coming later. But renovating all the piers, all the damage, storm damage, the lift area, all that's all being done now.
Right. I took a ride back there last Sunday, and they're doing a real good job. But I really want to know about the lifts, the boat lifts, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's only out of service now because of the other work that's going on in there.
All right.
It'll be back in service when all that work's done.
All right, and y'all will open up the marina for dredging.
Yes.
Is the parish paying for that, or is this a state funding, or what?
It's going to be some state funding. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Dr. Gui.
Yeah, first of all, whoever was responsible for the screenshots, kudos. Who did that? Raise your hand. Well, very good job, I have to say. Lightened the load a little bit today. The other question I had is just informational. Billy, you mentioned about freeze and the pipes at Point LaHash and all. Is there a system to where those can be drained?
No, it's a water line. What it does is it crosses around all those piers. Now, they were never insulated or anything in the past. They are being insulated now, so that should help with that. Thank goodness we don't get much hard winter around here, but the couple times it did, they were unprotected, so they're all protected now.
Mr. Champagne?
Yeah, my question's for Mr. DeMarco. What's the status on the freshwater tank in Port Sulphur? Has that been repaired? I know we had a crack in it and it was giving us some issues.
We had the clear well.
Yes.
We have there's ongoing repairs to it. It's in bad shape, but we do have two temporary tanks there that are acting as clear wells, which they've already been tested. They're acting as the clear well.
All right, and you mentioned the component that's being installed that's supposed to bring us up from 1.5 million gallons per day to 3.0 million gallons a day
Yes, sir.
somehow, I guess by the end of January.
Yes, sir.
Will those tanks affect the ability to do that, or will we be back up to produce?
It shouldn't. No, sir. No, sir. The temporary tanks that are there now are really close to the capacity of the clear well that's being repaired. So that shouldn't at all interfere with the increase in capacity.
Great. And the reason I ask that, just so our constituents know that we are working hard to increase the capacity of
Yes.
water production at the low end of the parish. So good work on that. The other thing deals with Reverend Edwards' fire station. I mentioned that Woodlawn Fire Station is a little over budget. We may have to make some cuts. From my perspective, I don't think that we need to make cuts when it comes to public safety or anything like that. So if there's something that's legitimate, one of the pet peeves I have is one of the terms that was going around was value engineering. I think that's
I avoided that term.
yeah, that's an ugly phrase. So if these are legitimate costs that affect the fire here, I think that's something we need to explore because we need to make sure that they get the right components to do their job. So please let us know what those are, and we can relook those. I'd rather have it fixed the right way the first time rather than trying to save a couple nickels and ends up costing us dollars later.
We'll have an update meeting within the next week. That may be tomorrow. I'll keep y'all up to speed on that. And before we do any deep cuts, we'll come to you guys and hash it out with you guys.
Great, thank you. I yield.
Reverend Edwards?
Yeah, well, one of the first thing I was gonna touch with the fire department, update and find out exactly what you're talking about, Ron, because we've been back and forth on the fire.
Yeah.
We've been back and forth on the fire department for a long time. So I definitely had that as one of the things I hope that before we have the meeting that we can do that as soon as possible, because I see they're clearing the ground of that, so I'm assuming that's for the temporary trailer that's coming up. And I didn't hear you say anything about, where was that in terms of getting that there, but I see they cleared. But anyway, I want to make sure that we come together on that. But I want to go to Billy on several things. First of all, I've been asking for a while, when are we going to actually get new pumps for the East Bank pumping station? Because we're still using temporary pumps, and I don't know how much we're paying for that. So what point are we going to actually get rid of paying the amount of money we're paying for temporary pumps and actually have permanent pumping stations?
The Point LaHash is back to 100% now, pump-wise. That temporary pump will be going away first part of January. Your Bellevue pump, that's all you have is the temporary pumping in, and the other one's part-time off and on. It's all FEMA reimbursed, so we do pay for it, but we get reimbursed.
Okay.
My assumption is you would hope to keep those temporary pumps as some kind of backup. It's better than nothing.
Okay.
As long as FEMA's going to reimburse it, it's worth that value to have some kind of protection.
And this I got this morning. At one point, the tractors had a temporary trailer and breakaway where they could house that, what it would take to get that back up and running again.
What is it?
The tractors Palm used to have a trailer place in Breakwood. We didn't have to come all the way down to Davant.
Oh, an office trailer you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, so Braithwaite was the Edna LaFrance property, which that building was damaged by the hurricane. That's where fire ended up putting a little temporary small building there. We do have a plan to move more to a central location, which is up in the, I guess you could call it the Woodlawn area, the old Clyde Giordano property, they call it.
Okay,
Uh,
okay,
we're-
okay.
We're gonna set up, that's gonna be for flood control and prom, and that property right there, there's a little office trailer. Water billing used to use it, they moved out. The building is usable, it doesn't need major repairs or anything like that. Once
No,
we
no, that's
fence
a good
in some
location.
stuff-
That would be
Once we
good
fence in
central.
some stuff, that's the plan for first quarter of '25 as well.
And the other thing is that there are still some highways that we talked about in Phoenix where the shoulders, they were supposed to come back and put some rocks or something behind it. And I think the one in Harlem still haven't been corrected yet.
All right, I'll get with you on those exact
Okay.
locations, we'll figure that out.
Okay. Thank you so much. And while I want to thank the administration for the Christmas tree lighting up at Brickway, and then the one we had last night for coming over, and the turnout for the administration and departments last night was good to see that many people over here. So I just want to thank you all for coming. And then I don't know if DeMarco, or I don't know if it was Billy, who's trying to create some animosity between us and our administration. I'm not going to touch that. I don't know but that's just all about. You know, I'm going to leave that part alone. But no, I really want to thank our administrative assistant. I know I want to thank my, I'm going to record. I probably got the best in all the Plaquemine Parish, But I just thought that because the people in Belcher treat me like royalty when I come over there. I read the office for food and everything, so I really want to thank them, and I really want to thank our chief of staff, because a lot of times she don't get a lot of play, but she's a hard-working person in this administration. Sean, I really appreciate all that you do for the parish, and your honesty, you're straightforward. So I just want to take this time out to thank you, and I wish everybody a happy Merry Christmas.
Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll always, again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone in the audience, administration, colleagues. This is always one of our favorite meetings because we get Ms. Toops to come join us up here as a member of as a member of us. Also, I want to, Mr. Edwards, I know you always dress sharp to the T, but today you don't get best dressed. That goes to Miss Kimberly Buck. It's best dressed today, so you came out singing. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for the successful year we've had and look forward to keep moving everything forward. Thank you and have a great.
Didn't miss much. Myself. Again, Merry Christmas to everybody. On the construction, Jeff/Billy, on the concrete repairs, once we get a firm date that it's going to start, if you could let me know where I can let the residents and businesses know in that area. And then keep me updated, please, on the sewer as we work through stuff, because every rainstorm I get calls. Last two were good. So, but I do get calls making sure everything's working. So as we make changes and everything, just please keep me updated.
I know we had a vac truck come out and clean out some areas. Hopefully moving forward, that'll be a good
Yep.
thing for us, to clean out some of these lift stations.
And then that's all I got on mine. I want the record to reflect Ms. LaFrance and Ms. McCarty has arrived. So we have 7 council members now present. Ms. McCarty, you have the floor.
I just wanted to tell the people that, an update that for the Medal of Honor Park, that we're now going to start construction, and that includes helping pump station number 2 to have better drainage. And the pump stations in District 5, as most people know, pump out all of Belchase from District 2 through 6. And Jeff and, Mr. Marco and Mr. Witchers, I need to get with you about a few more drainage problems, issues that have come in recently, and I'll do that later. Thank you.
Ms. LaFrance, we're on administration updates. Do you have any questions or comments on anything before I move on? All right, seeing no more, at this time, we'll move on.
5, bids and advertisements.
Oh, wait,
Yeah, still want to congratulate Salt Plaque on the statewide championship. I didn't want to give Mr. LaFrance that chance to do it, but anyway, congratulations.
Ms. LaFrance.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me, for me to catch up. If you was present, you watch a tremendous game. Again, hands off goes out to Haynesville. There was a tremendous team. It was a great battle, well fought. It was just that Haynesville finally met up with a team that had as much speed as them. And again, congratulations go out to the mighty South Platte Hurricanes. They truly deserve it. Well-fought game, a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and a lot of weightlifting, a lot of preparation. And what people really need to realize that student athletes, they are very special. They not only have to do their work, but they have to compete and prepare. And again, congratulations go out to our school system, which is a A school district. That's tremendous too. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item, please.
5, bids and advertisements. 6, beer and liquor licenses. B&H Beverage LLC, 114 Azalea Drive, Port Sulphur, 70083. Bromart number 27902, Highway 23, Belchase, 70037. DJ's One Stop LLC, 18013, Highway 15, Point LaHash, Louisiana, 70082. Little G's Cajun Restaurant, 9338, Highway 23, Belchase, Louisiana, 70037. Salvo's Seafood, 7742, Highway 23, Belchase, Louisiana, 70037. Townview Cafe, 7918, Highway 23, Belchase, Louisiana, 70037. LZ Marine and Hardware, Inc., 42991, Highway 23, Venice, 70091. Cypress Cove Marina, Inc., 235, Cypress Cove Road, Venice, 70091. Cypress Grill, LLC, 226, Cypress Cove Road, Venice, 70091. N&L, LLC, 10830, Highway 23, Belchase, Louisiana, 70037. Venice Marina, 237, Sports Marina Road, Venice, 70091. Venice Marina, 237, Sports Marina Road, Venice, 70091.
All right, I offer, ask for a second. Second by Reverend Edwards. Any comments from the audience? Administration, table, machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, we'll take A1 through 4 in Globo.
Venture Global Plaquemines LNG, application number 2024-1095, application date 10/17/24, installation of 6 protective dolphins, Port Sulphur. High Point Transmission LLC, application number 2023-830, application date 12/4/23, proposing valve repair on existing 26-inch pipeline 2934, 354689, 464507 Point LaHash. Hill Corp Energy Co., application number 2024-1108, application date 10/11/24, plug, abandon, and remove structures associated with 5 wells, Lake Washington Field. Shell Pipeline Company LP, application number 2024-1160, application date 11/22/24, proposed 3 anomaly repairs in 1 dig location, 20-inch Delta Naren Norco, 294182111111, 8962031, 66667, Empire, Louisiana.
I so offer.
Offered by Ms. LaFrance, second by Ms. McCarty. Any comments from the audience?
Sorry, but Mr. Carl, Chairman, you caught me sleeping. Look, I got a question on all 4 permits. You know, in the past, I always had a problem with permits because we can't afford to get building permits in District 1. And I see other companies come get permits and they on valves and pipelines and something real simple. For the last 20 years, I rode the highway from Punahou to Phoenix, from Breakaway to Phoenix, and I have never seen a McDonald's or Burger King or Popeye's bag of thrown on side the highway. So that tells me people are down here that's not from this area, and they're getting permits easy. So I still got a problem with permits. I know it's legal. They got rights to have permits because, and then on number 2, the high point transmission. Is that some kind of valve gonna be put in that gonna put out a high transmission if it fails? Would it hurt them?
No, that's just the company name, High Point Transmission, LLC. It's the company name.
Right. Yeah.
It's a valve repair on existing 26-inch water line.
But
Or not water line, pipeline, sorry.
They work on high transmission with a lot of pressure. So I hope they do a good job on repairing those valves. Will these valves be close enough to do if they do rupture? Would it be close enough to do any harm to the communities?
I don't know how many times to tell you this over and over, but it's probably gonna come a time where the state gonna run these things because it's really so far out in the waters and these construction permit, and we have little control over this. It's just because the in Plaquemine Parish, it go through our permit up and go through stuff, and it's not gonna cause it like again. It is so far out in the waters away from everything, and I don't know how many times to tell you that over and over. It's gonna come a period of time where you're probably not gonna see this because the state gonna be controlling it. And this has been going on forever. It's beyond our control because they go through our permit process. They pay a fee for all this stuff, and it's done. And so we just the last stage of a process. So I don't know. I'm going to explain it to you than I've been doing for the last 2 years, and it happened way before I said here. This has been going on for a while. But if you look at the map, again, you see that it's not in your backyard.
Okay,
You know, it's farther away, and these construction permit begin. I mean, I don't know any other way to simplify it as much as I've been doing.
Yeah, you're doing a good job, Reb. I understand that a lot of times it's telling me about the pipeline where it ends, but where it starts at. Normally it seems like to me it's going to start in Punahou or the event, not much in the Phoenix. So that's the only thing, that's the only reason why I worry about it, where it starts.
Before any meeting come to me, we can give you a copy of the map so you can see them prior to every meeting, and you'll be able to see Tasha. We'll let you see them. We have them in office, and you can look at all this again. I'm hoping that Kim have you on a mailing list where you can get a copy of the agenda, because I asked you that before.
Right.
Have us send you a copy of the agenda. When you get that agenda, all these construction permit, you can come to our office and Tasia will actually show you the map and the location of where it's at.
Right. I understand all that, real, but as long as it's on the coming to the parish and the council have anything to do with it, and it's in Plaquemine Parish in District 1, I probably would still be coming up. Although I understand what you're saying, I know it's out of our control, but somebody got to say something, because if we don't say something, they're going to do anything.
Well, I can say this, Brock. You can say it. I dealt with this when I first got here. Again, I'm very serious when it comes down to District 1. And everybody on this council know I eat and sleep District 1. And I don't let anything go past me. I studied this, went through the permit office to understand this stuff, because I was confused like you were. And once I got educated on it, I understand this process. And you can get up here every meeting and talk for 2 hours. It's not going to change this process. That's all I want to tell you. Good. But I can assure you, if this was anything that was harmful to these bank of the river, I'll be talking before you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Administration. Good. Machines are open. Passes 7-0. We'll take B through E in Globo.
Eugene Miller, new residence in an FP zoning district, 146 Braddock Street, Arlington, Louisiana. Michael Broussard, new residence in a FP zoning district, 134 Braddock Street, Arlington. Haywood and Rita St. Cyr, new residents in an FP zoning district, 154 Gerard Street, Arlington, Louisiana. Reverend Irvin Ross, new residents in an FP zoning district, 155 Cabernet Street, Arlington, Louisiana.
I so offer.
Offered by Mr. LaFrance, second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table?
Yes.
Mr. LaFrance.
This is just some of the new construction of homes that's being built in Ironton. We have the organization of Mennonites that are building 4 homes, so this is what this is about.
All right,
So Ironton is starting to move forward.
thank you. Any other comments? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
The following ordinances are being offered on Councilmember Schultz's behalf. An ordinance directing the Plaquemines Parish Government Finance Department on the appropriation of the firefighting fund capital outlay maintenance designation and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance directing the Plaquemines Parish Government Finance Department on the appropriation of the parish surplus designated fund balance and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance 24-17 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, District 3 Recreational Park Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next one is for Councilmember Edwards. An ordinance to amend the 2025 manpower structure and the 2025 operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next 3 are for Councilmember Gui. An ordinance to amend the 2025 general fund operating expenditure budget, coastal zone, levee locks, and floodgates department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2025 general fund operating expenditure budget, coastal resource and protection department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2025 general fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, coastal zone levy, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next one is for Councilmember McCarty. A resolution granting conditional approval for a plan of subdivision of tracts A and B-2, sections 2 and 73, Township 14 South, Range 24 East, Southeastern District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Belchase, Parish of Plaquemines into lots 1 through 54, Square A, lots 1 through 30, Square B, lots 1 through 24, Square C, Barrier Estates, and the dedication of George Boulevard, Numa Street, Alvin Street, and Alvin Circle, and dedication of drainage servitudes and dedication sewer servitude, Belchase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, is shown on the plans and plat of survey by Dufresne and Surveying Engineering, Inc., dated June 1st, 2021, revised June 21st, 2024, the owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Parish, Plaquemines Parish Government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next one is for Councilmember Newsom, a resolution appointing Plaquemines Parish members of the Regional Planning Commission and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next 2 are for Councilmember LaFrance, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, repairs, Diamond Park project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution approving the issuance of the 4th 2-year extension commencing upon the expiration of the current 2-year extension period to Woodland Borrow Pits LLC, where the existing sand pit on property located in a floodplain zoning district at 22441 Highway 23, Port Sulphur, Louisiana, all in accordance with application number 2014-4771, dated January 7, 2013, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And the final ordinance is for Councilmember Konovich, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of Venice Charters Unlimited LLC, former Emmett Adolph property, Boothville, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 35, Township 20 South, Range 20 East, into lots EA1, EA2, and EA3, Boothville, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 35, Township 20 South, Range 30 East, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne and Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated August 13th, 2024, the owners having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll go through deferrals and withdrawals. 9A2 will be deferred. 9A2 will be deferred. 9C will be withdrawn. 9O, 9P, and 9Q will all be withdrawn. 9O, P, and Q will be withdrawn. 9R will be deferred. And 9T, as in Tango, will be deferred. I'll go over it one more time. 9A2 deferred. 9C withdrawn. 9O, P, and Q withdrawn. 9R and 9T deferred. Any other ones that anybody has? Everybody go with that? All right, next item, please.
Ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 9A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 601E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. 9A1, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of Wayne and Nancy Rollo, lots 11, 12, 13, and 14, Square 59, Belle Chase Town Site, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 35, T20S R30E, into Lot 14A, Square 59, Belle Chase Town Site, Belle Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 35, T206 0S R30E, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated August 19th, 2024, the owners having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Champagne.
Offered by Mr. Champagne, second by Ms. McCarty. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
3, an ordinance by the Plaquemines Parish Council as and on behalf of the West Bank Levy District, a new perpetual road easement and certain portions of land in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, by appropriation for construction of the New Orleans to Venice West Bank Hurricane Protection Levy Project, NOV NFW05A1, La Roussite to Myrtle Grove, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, for levee, flood wall, drainage, flood, excess, and hurricane protection purposes, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
Offered by Ms. LaFrance, second by Ms. McCarty. Any comments from the audience? State your name and address, please.
Terrence Box, 156 Enos Campbell Lane. This is a new part. I've been to all the way to Venice. I saw the levee is almost 100% completed. This gonna be, what are they gonna do? Make the levee higher?
This is just an easement, giving them a right of way to the levee
Yeah.
for levee construction.
Okay. All right.
Be good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
An ordinance by the Plaquemines Parish Council as and on behalf of the West Bank Levy District to extend existing temporary work area easements in certain portions of lands in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, by appropriation to complete construction of the New Orleans to Venice NOV-NF W0582 Myrtle Grove to Wood Park Lee project, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, for levee, flood wall, drainage, flood, access, and hurricane protection purposes, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered.
Offered by Ms. LaFrance, second by Reverend Edwards. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance number 24-200, establishing a temporary 6-month moratorium on the issuance of any permit or temporary RV and RV park permit for District 7, accepting any applications received by the permit office on or before the 24th of October 2024, during which time a study shall be conducted to determine the need of appropriate legislation to regulate this issue, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered.
Offered by Mr. LaFrance. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Champagne. Do I have any comments from the audience? From the table? Go ahead.
What this is, anybody who had application in, before the moratorium was built, will move on it.
Okay.
That's all that is.
All right. Thank you, Ms. LaFrance. I was going to ask what the difference was. All right, any other comments? Machines are open. Passes 6-1 with a no vote from Reverend Edwards. Next item, please.
B, an ordinance enacting Chapter 24 of the Parish Code of Ordinances entitled Administrative Adjudication, providing for the procedures and enforcement of codes regulating premises and structures for the protection, health, welfare, and safety of the people of Plaquemines Parish, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gooey. This has changes.
Before we get a second, there's some improvements and typos. Nothing that changes the text of the ordinance, but over the last few weeks, we found that some of the verbiage could be improved for clarification. So, Ms. Kim, if you read that, and then once that's done, I'll ask for a second.
Sure. On the second page, line 75, the word remove has been added after abate, repair, rehabilitate, and remove. On page 2, lines 95 and 96, new language has been added. Hazard, a dangerous condition or state which threatens the protection, health, welfare, and safety of the people of Plaquemines. On page 3, lines 104 and 105, the language has been changed, or the parish of Plaquemines, as the context implies. On page 4, line 161, his or her has been removed, and the word there has been inserted. On line 180, the word any has been removed. The next page, on lines 211 and 212, we've added or removes items. On line 219, the word a has been inserted and an has been removed. On lines 225 and 226, removing items, typically junk and debris from the premises, has been added. On lines 248 and 249, at least has been inserted. And, let's see. I think so.
Done, Kim? Yeah. With those changes, I'll offer and ask for a second.
I second that. Offered by Mr. Gooey, second by myself.
Great.
You want to talk on it?
Yeah, I know you're tired of hearing about this, but I do, for the benefit of the public, like to go through just several things that brought us here today. Number one is that early this year, we began the process of looking at one of the shortcomings of our administrative process in regards to abatement. And that shortcoming had to do with enforcement. So the initial meeting was with our legal department to look at avenues to correct those issues. Subsequent to that, I met with either personally or on the phone, each of the council members to go through the process and clarify that we're not changing ordinances. All we're doing is looking at areas in our existing ordinances that seem to have some shortcomings when it comes to enforcement. So Mr. Burris and Mr. Riley began the process of visiting some local parishes, local governments as to how they ran their enforcement division, and looked at how we ran ours and took some recommendations as to how we could improve what we're doing. During the budget hearings, we approved what the administration felt was necessary in regards to hardware, software, and contract labor and new hire for the one of the superintendents for that division. Of course, all of the budget amendments were approved. The administration now has a plan of organization. The big picture is, if this is approved, I know that once it gets into action, we may find some things that we may have to amend, but all in all, it's a great document. It takes into effect some objective standards, but it also has some subjective standards. And based on comments from some of our council members in regards to individuals in our parish, everyone is an individual, and individuals have certain circumstances. And when those circumstances arise and they're legitimate, that we'll address that as far as that person's situation with their health, economics, and stuff. So we're very in tune with that. And I think it's fair, and it's going to be fair and equitable. It's fair to the individuals who have to deal with some of the violations that are presented regarding our ordinance, but it's also fair that the person who is being looked at as to having violated the ordinance will also have their say. And I'm very happy with it. I'd like to move on it today and get it done. I know Mr. Burris is ready to push the button and get the thing started, and I yield.
Thank you, Dr. Gui. Any comments from the audience?
Clarence Bach, 156 Enos Campbell Drive. What I'm getting out of this, if I hope that I plan on comparing apples and oranges like David Pernash and Phoenix to Belchase, Bouville, Venice. We have an old car that's been sitting there for 2-3 months, and the next door neighbor don't complain, but somebody from the parish might complain and say that car don't look good in the neighborhood. We could have an old car in our yard, near our yard, and it won't be an ordinance a problem to the neighbors, but it might be a problem to the parish. So a lot of things, they might have trees that have fallen, and it might be a problem to y'all, but it's not a problem to us, because we can't remove the trees that have fallen. So we'll get a fine, or the parish will come in and clean it up, and we have to pay for that, or they're gonna take our taxes, or whatever, some kind of way they're gonna punish us with a lot of things that we cannot do. And we got to remember, this is the country. We're going to have high grass. For us to keep our grass like a certain parts of the parish, we can't do that.
Would you like me to answer?
Yes, sir.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Those situations were discussed at length.
Okay.
And it's going to be discretionary in a lot of situations. And like you said, it's if there's a car on a piece of property and it's not hurting anyone, no one's complaining, that'll be taken into consideration. But apparently it's gonna bother somebody because somebody's bringing it up. So I'm gonna put it on you this way. If that vehicle is in your next door neighbor's yard and it's bothering you, would you complain and say, I want to know if there's anything can be done about this? I'm asking you.
Yeah, I'll wait till you
Right?
finish.
You do it, right?
I'll wait till you
Right.
finish. Yeah, it would be a problem, and
and-
I would make a complaint.
And after the condition is really looked into, the whole situation, a decision's gonna have to be made. It may be a decision you're happy with, it may be a decision you're not happy with. It can go to a next level if you're not happy with it, or if the neighbor's not happy with it, and we've had some conflicts. It's not cut and dry. We'll have hearing officer, we'll have a
Right.
judicial process we can go through. That's in there. And look, I understand we may have Ms. Jones, who's on Social Security, she's on Medicare, Medicaid, she's
Low
really in
income.
bad shape.
Low
That has
income.
to be taken into consideration. What we have done, and it's going to be an effort, and hopefully a successful effort, that we are compiling a list of agencies that may be able to assist someone if they're legitimately in a tight situation.
I thank you for that.
And
That's the
that,
part.
and then legitimately in a tight situation is real, but people can take advantage of that. And so through the process, we hope to discover that and find those individuals who are really in need and have avenues for them to pursue. Probably not with taxpayer dollars, but with agencies and churches and people who do that. Okay, so we did take it that far, and I appreciate your comment on that.
Because I could tell you one time, somebody complained about high grass, and I'm talking about higher than when I am standing, and they turned it over to the parish, and the parish told them they had a certain amount of time to go do it, and you know why I'm cutting the grass for me, no charge. They called me, and
How many rabbits you got?
it ran like 3 or 4. That was in the summertime, but a lot of people can't afford being fined.
Mr. Brock, let me just say this to you, and I've been talking to people loud and clear. We're not gonna hide behind this a rural community to justify people having junk cars in their yard, for any reason. We're not gonna hide behind the fact that this was, my mother birthed me in this car. So that's, if you're gonna have a car in your yard, clean it up. We're not gonna hide behind the fact high grass, because people can get grass. You free of service, they need to call you.
Yeah, they gonna
but
call
we
you.
have to take a position, and we can't waver on this. Because see, my problem with all this stuff, if we don't have no enforcement, it's not worth the paper is on. And so I'm very clear, and I'm telling everybody in Phoenix, everywhere I go, is that the junk cars, the high grass, got to go. Because you got people like you provide free service, we got young people, we got to clean the place up, and we can't hide behind in a rural community should look like I can have old junk car in my yard, pack it up with stuff, and it's okay. I'm saying the purpose of this, and I'm hoping we get the enforcement, that we change that mentality, and not saying just because a rural community that it's supposed to look a certain way. And especially when it comes down to the community where I live at, that we're not going to accept stuff that's the way it's supposed to look just because traditionally that's how we define our community. This ordinance, I'm hoping we put some reinforcement in it. I'm 100% I'm telling families and friends, there's no exception for my family and friends around this issue. We have to take a stand with all these junk cars. We have to take a stand with people having high grass when I know they got able-bodied people. They're not that poor where they can't cut grass. One of the things that people do cutting grass is for physical fitness, to stop arthritis. My mother, she's a perfect example of elderly people. So again, I'm taking a serious stand on this. The only thing I'm hoping that we start enforcement on it. But we can't hide behind, again, I want to say it again, because it's a rural community is supposed to be places where you have junkyard. I don't believe in that mentality.
Well-
I don't believe in that philosophy. It got to go. high grass gotta go, and if people gotta get you to do it free, but we have to take a position on. The only thing I'm saying is we gotta define what ownership is, because we got a lot of people who taking over houses from their mother, their aunties, they don't pay tax, and they just think that's how it's supposed to be, that you could have junk calls on top of junk calls on top of junk calls, and the day for that is over. People need to ride to a rural community where they don't see jump calls, where they don't see high grass. That's the purpose of riding to a rural community, to see manicure grass and all that. So again, I just want to tell you that I'm totally in 100% of it, and I'm not hiding behind that it's a rural community. I just want to let you know, so when you see it happening in Phoenix, I'm 100% behind it. And I'm not owing anybody apology, because I've been telling families and friends, be ready, get it out the way, because if you don't do it, the parish gonna move it. My only problem with all this, how we gonna pay for it, for enforcement.
We
Because
did that in the
yeah.
budget.
Huh?
We did that in the 25 budget. We added all that in the 25 budget.
Okay.
So that's why we're
I'm
moving
just
on this
saying,
now.
So I'm hoping that we really do enforcement on this quick, so people can see that we're serious. We see that we're serious, and I don't care if Phoenix is they started for, because we got to put enforcement. So this is one of the things that I'm 100% behind. And again, I want to, you're going to be busy, because I'm telling people, if you got a problem with your grass, call Clarence Brock, because we coming at you. So I'm telling people in Phoenix that your service is.
All right.
Give me 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
So y'all saying when the hurricane come and the trees fall down, they got trees right now from Isaac fell down in it, and they refuse to move them. They're still in the yard, so y'all gonna clean up these trees and stuff like that, our yards.
We're gonna take them as they come in a fair and equitable way with a written process that is fair to every person, the person who feels they've been violated and the person who's been accused of being violated. This is the best we got. And it's been a long time coming, and we have good consensus with the administration and with the council that this is fair. And that's why we're gonna go with it today.
Well, I agree with it. I agree with it cleaning up, but a lot of people can't afford it. But you see, there is money gonna be put out to help clean things up. So y'all stand behind that. I can understand, because high grass brings snakes and stuff like that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Administration. Ms. McCarty.
I'd like to say that I'm in favor of this, basically based on the experiences that I've had within District 5. And I first want to preface this for the people who were aware of an ordinance that was proposed by Mr. Orborough about 2 years ago, which brought in new laws that appeared to come across as if we were developing an HOA for the entire parish or for Belchase. And if you had a crack in your driveway, you might have to pay a fine every day until that was taken care of. This is not that case. This is making it easier for people to actually find out what the ordinances are that are already in the books, because we're combining them, as I understand, into a single ordinance. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
The only amendments here are to areas in the existing ordinance where it was determined to be non-enforceable, it was ineffective. So at the very end of the document, it identifies which sections of the existing ordinance has been changed, which sections in the ordinance. Everything else is the same. It's the same as it was. That doesn't mean that next year we may find that we need to improve it, add something, delete something, whatever. But no, it's only enforcement. And Mr. Burris can't correct me because he's not here, but I can vouch for it. It's only for enforcement.
I appreciate that clarification. And I hope that helps clarify things for everyone else. I personally will share an experience that I have where someone is parking a vehicle in front of someone else's house. The vehicle is leaking a lot of oil. EPA came out and looked at it. And as that vehicle drives in the street, it leaves a trail of oil down the street. we can't do anything to make that person right now pick up that oil. EPA told the person whose land it is on in front of their house that they have to pick it up. So that may be something new that will come along. So that's in Fort St. Leon North. There are issues along Barrier Road that people want taken care of that we have not been able to enforce. There's an issue right now that someone's complaining about in Noble Manor. Noble Manor no longer has a covenant. Now, each of these neighborhoods have their own Facebook page, and if you're in Noble Manor, I suggest you talk to the other members in Noble Manor about if you want to reenact the covenant. But this is something that's going to help us take care of many of the issues that people have complained about. So I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, Ms. McCarty. Reverend Edwards, you got anything else to say, or
Ron, you good?
you good? You're,
I'm very good.
all right.
I want to thank Mr. Riley and the administration, really for the work they put into that. And thank you, Dr. Gouy, you provide a lot of leadership to that. And again, my whole issue, this means nothing if we don't have no enforcement. So I hope that we immediately start and giving some example of enforcement so people can know that this is just not another document that we created.
All right, thank you. Machines are open. Passes 7-0.
Merry Christmas.
Next item, please.
D, an ordinance to amend the 2024 operating revenue and expenditure budgets, various funds, various departments, various line items, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and this has changes.
And do we have changes? Okay. Beginning on line 7, whereas the current balance for the designation for parish surplus is $7 million, and it is the desire of the parish council to increase the designation by $18 million. Whereas per ordinance 23-83, the parish surplus designated fund balance maximum appropriated balance shall not exceed $25 million. Whereas the current balance in the designation for emergencies is $10 million, and it is the desire of the parish council to increase the designation by $6 million. Whereas it is the desire of the administration and parish council to create a designation for capital outlay and appropriate $2,830,500 to the designation, and whereas it is the desire of the administration and the parish to create a designation for prospective grants and appropriate $1,500,000 to the designation. Whereas a 2/3 vote of the parish council will be needed to remove funds from the prospective grants designation fund balance, and whereas the current balance in the firefighting fund designation for capital outlay maintenance is $5,135,856, and it is the desire of the parish council to increase the designation by $9,864,144. Then we jump to lines 28 and 29 under section 2. It hereby authorizes the transfer of $18 million from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance to the fund balance designated for parish surplus. Section 3 reads, it hereby authorizes the transfer of $6 million from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance to the fund balance designated for emergencies. Section 4, it hereby authorizes the transfer of $2,830,500 from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance to the fund balance designated for capital outlay. Section 5, it hereby authorizes the transfer of $1,500,000 from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance to the fund balance designated for prospective grants. Section 6, a 2/3 vote of the parish council will be needed to remove funds for the prospective grants fund. Section 7, it hereby authorizes the transfer of $9,864,144 from the firefighting fund unreserved undesignated fund balance to the fund balance designated for capital outlay / maintenance. And then the old section 2 is now section 8.
I ask for a second, and I'll explain what's going on. Second by Mr. Newsom. So The reason why we're doing this now is we had to do budget hearings kind of first in November, then figure out sales tax actual for 2024. This is a 2024 amendment. And we're adjusting our sales tax to the actual, basically. What this does is more of an accounting issue. No money is being spent. Let's be clear about that to the public. All this is doing is moving money into designations, emergencies, because we had to take some money out of emergencies during the budget hearings. So we're moving some more money back into it. We're creating a designation for prospective grants, where the grant, we have money set aside for the administration to go after grants. And that way, when the time they get a grant, we don't have to worry about where the matching portion comes from. We already have money set aside for matching. So that way, hopefully, we will push the administration to go get grants. We're increasing some of the surplus fund, surplus capital outlay. So we're setting some money aside. Administration said that they need equipment. Different departments need equipment. So we're setting aside $2.8 million for equipment. We sat down, got a preliminary list for equipment. But again, this just puts money aside. When it's time to spend the money, they're going to have to come back to the council and get us to vote to actually move it into the appropriate department to spend the money. So yes, there's a lot of changes, but it's more accounting wise. But when it's time to actually spend the money, the administration still has to come and get 5 votes from this council in order to spend the money, to move it into the appropriate department. Mr. DeMarco mentioned earlier for the vac truck. That is on the list in this capital outlay designation. But come 2025, he's going to have to come with an introduction for a vac truck, and we'll move it from designation into water department or Infomark department, and then they can spend it at that point. So that is what this ordinance is doing. At this time, I'll ask if there's any comments from the audience. Administration? Table? Mr. Edwards?
I just have one concern is that even though we have designated these capital outlay for a certain amount of money, and I just want to use the fire department because it's stating out to me, and I was thinking about it for the last couple of days. We could always come back and load this figure, tie this into the ambulance, because I'm still not quite sure why so much is being given to.
Okay, so fire department has its own fund. It's included in here, but we cannot use fire funds for the ambulance. But this is for they have a separate surplus fund in theirs.
So it's a separate.
It's a separate surplus,
But this
correct.
don't have nothing to do with the money that taxes that we got. That's a deal.
Well, it does have to do with the taxes that the fire department collected. And we're moving some of theirs. So there's actually going to be another one for the fire department because their cap is actually 15 million. And there's going to be another one in January because we have to adjust their cap where we can add more to it. So there's going to be another one in January for the fire department, but this is what we can currently move based on the current cap. But fire department is separate. So, but you bring up EMS. If we decide we needed money from the surplus fund for something for EMS, we can do that. This just puts money in different buckets, but it ultimately comes down to this council approving where that money goes when administration asks. Administration can ask $5 million from surplus. If we agree to it, we agree to it. If we don't, we don't. And the money sits there.
One last thing, and I don't know if you or Mr. DeMarco or have to go to. I would like to really see the fire department money, where they get it for how much the total amount they have, because I really don't know that. So, Mr. Mark, I don't know when we meet, if you can have that, the total for where they get all their revenues, a total.
Pretty much all their revenue comes from their 1 cent sales tax. There's about, what, 600,000 extra from other sources, but pretty much their current revenue comes from. But yeah, Mr. DeMarco can get with Ms. Morell and they can show you the current numbers on everything. But this is just adjusting their sales tax for 2024.
Okay.
Yeah, you good?
Thank you, very good.
All right. Dr. Gooey.
I want to thank those individuals that went through this process, it really streamlined and brought into focus the reality of the funds that we do have available. And it's funny how when funds are available, the whole environment gets peaceful. And I appreciate that because I've been on the other side. And one of the things that does give me comfort as I read through this is not only the effort that the individuals put forth, both administration and council, but that over the years, things have been neglected. And with the surplus of funds, the emphasis is to take care of those things that have been neglected and to prepare for future needs that are not renewable. We're not, well, there may be some, but the bulk of this is not to say we're adding an expense that we're going to have to spend next year and next year and next year. The bulk of this is taking care of some of the needs of our residents that we have not been able to take care of because we didn't have access to the funds. So kudos to all of you who put this together. I think it's a brilliant move. It's been in front of our face. We just couldn't see the forest for the trees. And then when we realized, wait a minute, we've got 2024 funds that we're going to wait till next year to get, not to get, but to appropriate. And that was a great bit of insight, and I appreciate that.
Correct. I want to add one more other thing that I forgot to add. So normally in the past, public hears us say, oh, we gotta wait to rollover. This is basically taking care of rollover now, where we don't have to wait till August. These will be the same funds that if we wait till August, but then we gotta go by the whole year with $256,000 in our undesignated fund balance, which is not fun. So we're doing rollover now. It's in accordance with accounting standards and legal and all that stuff. So we're just doing it now instead of waiting till August. And I think in the undesignated, we're still going to have now $2.1 million, I think is what, so we can, like Dr. Gui said, take care of the things that have been neglected. The vacuum truck was mentioned earlier, that this sewer problem that I have in my district has been going on since before I took office. And we had to rent a vacuum truck to take care of it at a very expensive price tag, but now it could be used in other parts of the parish and stuff. So we now can buy this vacuum truck to serve the whole parish for the future. So again, when it comes time, we still have to vote to actually spend this money. So this is just an accounting purpose, but when it comes time to spend the money, administration still has to come to us, and we still have to approve. So no money is actually being spent right now. I just want to put that out there for the public. All right. Any other comments from the table?
Yes.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes. Are we gonna need 5 votes or 6 votes?
5.
5? Oh,
Well, no, because we're not moving money away from any. Oh, well, no, the 6 votes, we're adding a 6-vote requirement for the prospective grants designation. So when it comes time to move that money to spend it, yes, we'll need 6. But for this vote to pass, I don't know what your question is. It's
Yeah, that's
5
what I was
votes.
talking about.
Yes, so it would require 6 votes to pass. Mainly, my thought process on that was we're saying it's for grants instead of just going and rate it for different purposes. Let's try to encourage and go get grants that way, use other federal dollars or state dollars instead of our own dollars.
And I think it's consistent.
Correct. So yes, some of it will require 6, some of it will require 5.
to the administration, there is an equipment list that you have? Mr. Witcher?
There's an equipment list we all submitted, yes.
Could we get a
Not have
copy of it?
Sure you can, yes.
And on that vac truck, that's the purchase of a new vac truck?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We gonna condemn the old one, right?
We don't have one.
The old one is more or less condemned now.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
up for auction.
Yeah, because we spent a lot of money on repairing that. That was a waste of time.
Exactly, and that's the thing, we need, and like some of the equipment list is boat harbors, trucks that are falling apart right now
Yeah.
for our current workers. So we're replacing some vehicle, or the plan is to place, again, they have to come to us, but the plan is to replace some vehicles where our employees are actually in safe vehicles and not falling apart. So that's the whole process, thought process.
We'll get them a Tahoe.
No, and most of the equipments are Ford Rangers or Ford F-150, so actual trucks that are needed. So, any other comments? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
E, an ordinance to amend the 2024 five-year capital improvements plan, various projects, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and this has changes.
Sit back, enjoy the show. Beginning on line 6, whereas a budget appropriation in the amount of $3,200,000 is requested for the 2024 saltwater intrusion project, FEMA will fund 75%, which totals $2,400,000. Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness will fund 12.5%, which totals $400,000, and the parish will fund 12.5%, which totals $400,000 from general fund unreserved undesignated. Whereas a budget appropriation is requested in the amount of $200,000 to the acquisition of LERD's NOV from Oakville to Venice project from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance. Whereas a budget appropriation is requested in the amount of $25,000 to the District 3 recreational park project from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance. Whereas a budget appropriation is requested in the amount of $1,800,000 to the Building 1004-renovations EOC 911 call center project from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance. Whereas a budget appropriation is requested in the amount of $34,431.58 to the Repairs Diamond Park project from the American Rescue Plan and American Rescue Plan Local Assistance Tribal Fund and the General Fund Unreserved Undesignated Fund Balance. Whereas a budget appropriation in an amount of $25,000 is requested to fund the permanent work from Hurricane Barry, FEMA will fund 75%, which totals $18,750, and the parish will fund 25%, which totals $6,250 from general fund unreserved undesignated. Whereas a budget appropriation in an amount of $30,000 is requested to fund the permanent work from Hurricane Sally, FEMA will fund 90%, which totals $27,000, and the parish will fund 10%, which totals $3,000 from general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance. Whereas a budget appropriation in the amount of $30,000 is requested to fund permanent work from Hurricane Zeta, FEMA will fund 90%, which totals $27,000, and the parish will fund 10%, which totals $3,000 from general fund unreserved undesignated. Whereas a budget appropriation in the amount of $2,200,000 is requested to fund the permanent work from Hurricane Francine, FEMA will fund 75%, which totals $1,650,000, and the parish will fund 25%, which totals $550,000 from general fund unreserved undesignated. Section 1, the 2024 five-year capital improvement plan is amended by appropriating $3,200,000 to the 2024 saltwater intrusion project. Funding source, $2,400,000 from FEMA, $400,000 from GOSEP, $400,000 from the general fund unreserved undesignated funding year 2024. Section 2, the 2024 five-year capital improvements plan is amended by appropriating $200,000 to the acquisition of LERD's NOV from Oakville to Venice project from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance funding year 2024. Section 3, the 2024 five-year capital improvements plan is amended by appropriating $25,000 to the District 3 recreational park project from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance funding year 2024. Section 4, the 2024 five-year capital improvement plan is amended by appropriating $1,800,000 to the Building 1004 renovations EOC 911 call center project from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance funding year 2024. Section 5, the five-year capital improvements plan is amended by appropriating $34,431.58 to the Repairs Diamond Park project from the American Rescue Plan and the American Rescue Plan Local Assistance Tribal Funds in the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance funding year 2024. Section 6, the 2024 five-year capital improvements plan is amended by appropriating $25,000 to fund the permanent work for Hurricane Barry. Funding source, $18,750 from FEMA, $6,250 from general fund unreserved undesignated for funding year 2024. Section 7, the 2024 five-year capital improvements plan is amended by appropriating $30,000 to fund the permanent work for Hurricane Sally. Funding source is $27,000 from FEMA, $3,000 from general fund unreserved undesignated funding year 2024. Section 8, the five-year capital improvement plan is amended by appropriating $30,000 to fund the permanent work for Hurricane Zeta. Source $27,000 from FEMA, $3,000 from general fund unreserved undesignated funded year 2024. Section 9, the 2024 five-year capital improvements plan is amended by appropriating $2,200,000 to fund the permanent work for Hurricane Francine. Funding sources $1,650,000 from FEMA, $550,000 from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance funding year 2024.
Thank you, Kim. I ask for a second. Second by Ms. McCarty, and then I'm gonna have an amendment. Sorry. So, we're gonna I wanna remove lines 17 and 18 in section 3. When I talked to finance about needing some more money for my park, they said they could add it into this, and I didn't want to look like I'm trying to. I'm removing lines 17 and 18 in section 3, which is lines 54 through 58. Because when I talked to finance, they said they could add to this, but I don't want to look like I'm trying to sneak this past anybody. So I have an intro to do it in January type deal. Basically, this will just go into undesignated fund balance instead. But so that's my amendment, and then if we can vote on that, and then we'll talk about this as amended. So do I have a second for that? Second by Mr. Newsom, yes.
Our lines aren't matching up.
Okay.
I don't know if you've got the latest version
Okay.
or not.
So lines 14 and 15, remove.
I could have looked at that.
And then section 3, remove. And I had an intro introduced today that will take care of that in the new year. Correct. The 25,000 will just go into undesignated, under reserve. And then I'll come back next year to try to take care of that. All right. Like I said, I didn't want to, it got kind of grouped in there. I don't want to look like everything else is FEMA related, so that's why I want to remove it and be clear. So on the amendment first, and then I'll explain what this is. Any comments from the audience? Yes, I have a second by Mr. Newsom. Administration, table on the amendment. Okay. Machines are open for the amendment to remove my District 3 thing. That was a mix-up on my part. All right, passes 7-0. Now as amended. So again, this is a 24 cleanup ordinance for capital improvements. What this does is basically, it's going to be a wash in the long run because we're saving money and expenses and all this, but then we got to find money to pay for some of these FEMA projects. As you can see, everything is either FEMA, NOV levy projects, or basically putting the money back into the EOC call center, which we just voted on where that money was coming from. And basically, this is what that's doing. It's just basically providing our matching side of all these FEMA projects in 24's budget. That way, we had to clean up anyway. We had to wait for the budget hearings in order to do this. Again, this does appropriate the money, though, to spend compared to the last one. But again, all these are FEMA projects that a lot of them are $3,000, $6,000 from the biggest one is $400,000, which is for, FEMA saltwater intrusion project from a year ago, and the NOV levy, amount. So with that, any comments from the audience? Administration. Reverend Edwards.
My concern is section 6, 7, and 8 and 9. I'm going to vote for it, but I just hope to get some kind of detailed information, on this, because it's totally not in it. It's kind of vague. It's not as specific. So I'd like to know about some of the projects that's in. I'm voting on about.
Yeah, Billy, do you have the detail? I mean, I'm sure you.
I don't
can
have
get
to have it
the-
today,
Yeah.
but I would like to get.
It's just leftover work from all these hurricanes that I
I'd
think,
like to
yeah,
know the
yeah.
for each one of these.
Yeah, they can get you the, PO information,
need.
so. Any other comments, Ms. McCarty?
Please explain lines 43 and 44 about the firefighter fund.
Wait, what?
Am I-
You're on the wrong one.
I picked up the wrong one, I'm sorry. Okay, never mind.
You good?
Yeah.
All right, machines are open. As amended, sorry. Machines are open as amended. Passes 7-0. You did read that intro, correct, for me? Okay.
F, an ordinance to amend the 2024 general fund operating expenditure budget coastal resource and protection department and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Edwards.
Offer by Mr. Edwards, do I have a second? Second by Mr. LaFrance. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Mr. Champagne.
Yes, my question regarding this is, originally when this came out, we were going to rock the top of the levee for good reason, to make sure we were able to get the lower end of the East Bank out in case of the flooding. That would cut the parish in half, and I applaud that effort. But now the conditions have changed. The Point Lahash Ferry should be operational before February, so we will no longer have that separation. There'll be an outlet sticking out. So I think putting rocks on top of the levee would no longer be necessary. Number two, do we even have a permit from the Corps of Engineers which allows such action? Because if we don't, we're just going to put rocks, we can find ourselves in a bind doing that as well.
You want me to ask my question first?
Yes.
Ms. Buck is here. I'm assuming, can you expand upon what Mr. Champagne just said? And is this needed? I'm assuming so, but can you expand upon the limestone? Can you come to the mic? Sorry. I just want to know what exactly is going on.
So what this was going to do is to rock the levee, because as soon as we had the state of emergency, we went ahead and I contacted the Corps immediately to try to get the permission to get rocks on the levee. And we were finally granted, because if we didn't do it during a state of emergency, it is a couple-year process to go through the Corps and get the proper permits. So then I went and got a whole bunch I got actually 5 different proposals, different ways to see what the cheapest route was to go to get it for us.
Okay, so it sounds like since we're under a state of emergency, we don't need the permit that Mr. Champagne is asking about.
Correct.
But may I?
Yes.
I think the confusion is about the ferry. The ferry doesn't have any bearings on this, because when there's a hurricane, the ferries go down, we gotta get out. When people left, you can't use the ferry, you can't use anything. The only way people from Point Lahash can, from Phoenix to Point Lahash get up is on that levee, because that road been like that for years. So the ferry don't have any bearings, because we always had 2 ferries running in before the ferry was closed down. This still is a problem with exiting out if there's a hurricane. Now, in the capital outlay budget, there's the money to raise the road up, but we don't know when that's going to happen. That's the wish list. So this is really needed for exit purpose only, And so the ferry is not even the issue at all. Doesn't
And
change.
Do keep in mind that this has been done year after year after year. This has been
Ferry don't have anything
many
to do with
years
this.
that we've had rock on top that levee for people to get out during an emergency.
Okay. You go with the answer, Mr. Champagne? Mr. Newsom?
Yes, it says, is this just to purchase the limestone, or is this to spread it?
It's
Or
both.
is this to bring it, or?
No, it's cheaper for Plaquemines Parish to buy the limestone and then have a contractor come pick it up and spread it. Because if we would have just went with the contractor, it would have been double that price.
So is this price of 210,000, it includes purchasing the limestone, the company to spread it, it covers the whole 9 yards?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Machines are open. Thank you, Ms. Buck. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
An ordinance to amend the 2024 operating expenditure budget, various funds, various departments, various line items, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Dr. Gui. Just to go over what this is, this was originally how the whole equipment thing started was, Mr. Witchers came that basically Boat Harbor's vehicles are in dire need of replacing. This buys 1, 2, 3 vehicles for Boat Harbors and 2 for flood control. It was started back in October. That's why it's not included in the equipment list. And Mr. Witcher's already started looking at state contracts and all that. And he prefers to get moving quicker than waiting basically into February for another appropriation. That's why he asked if we could just move on this one separate. If you look at the designation for equipments, this is already backed out. It was originally 3 million, but this is backed out of that amount for 2.8 million because of this. That's basically where the difference between the 2.8 and $3 million is. So, any comments from the audience? Administration, Mr. LaFrance.
Why do we have different numbers? Like one is 65,000, one is.
That,
Why is it different?
Those are,
Different
well,
value?
correct. So the flood control is 2 vehicles for 32.5 each. They're 2 Ford Rangers. Shipyard's Empire and Buick's are the same because those are Rangers, and then the Empire was
Still got different numbers.
the only one that should be technically different is Empire, and that's a different vehicle. They're asking for an F-150 compared to a Ranger.
The 65 you referenced is 2 trucks at
2 trucks.
32.5 each.
Yeah,
And the 32.5
That's one.
one.
and the 39.5.
That's a different type of truck.
They're asking for an F-150 compared to a Ranger.
Oh, okay. All right.
So everything else is Ford Rangers. Okay. Mr. Champagne.
You know, I'm all about making sure that our employees have the tools they need to do their jobs. I want to make sure they have them. But one of the things that I challenge the directors is to make sure we set conditions where our employees can properly maintain their equipment. It's one thing to buy them a new truck, but when they come to say it needs the oil change and we say we don't have the money for it, that's unacceptable. You need to come to the council. I'm not saying you guys do that. I just want to make public on the record. I support that 100%. We can make these vehicles last. Our employees deserve it. So don't be afraid to come to us when repairs are needed, because I've seen all too often these vehicles become hanger queens. You sit there in the garage broke, or we begin to cannibalize because rather than spend money to maintain it, we start pulling parts from one vehicle to another, and we end up with junk. So I know we're better than that. I know you guys, ladies and gentlemen, do a great job of making sure we have the right tools. So again, my commitment to you is I will support you 100% if you need repairs done on these vehicles, and we need to do it. I yield.
Mr. Edwards.
So this gonna be the beginning of money coming out the 3?
No, it was originally 3 million, but this was already in the process, so we took the 3 million and subtracted this money out. What we designated is 2.8. So this is the start of the purchase of equipment, but it does not come out of that because it's already basically been taken out. We already adjusted that number because we said 3 million total, and this was already in the process, so we just adjusted it to 2.8.
My other question, are we going to set this as the standard for type of vehicle that we need to use? Because I know we've came back and forth to people come in about what type of car you get, should be 30, 40, or we're saying that based the type of work that need to be done, this is the price.
Correct.
We're gonna
So,
use it
like-
as a model for future vehicles.
So, well, it depends on the department, but I mean, Mr. Witchers came and Boat Harbors doesn't need Tahoes. They need a vehicle basically to get a truck to get to and from the different boat harbors. So he said this is sufficient for what they need. The reason why one is different because they need an F-150 for different purposes, so they need a bigger vehicle. So that's why one vehicle is different than the other. So yes, in that meeting that we had, we went through and kind of streamlined where we're not buying Tahoes for everybody.
I'm not concerned about tires. I'm concerned about, we look at the nature of work that being done by certain
Correct.
departments and saying, and you gotta have some department while they're doing the different department, but this truck will suffice for everybody.
Correct.
So we don't have to be coming back and saying, so if something happens, this is the type of truck that we buy, it'll serve, whether you with coastal, whether you flood. We know these trucks can get up and down the levee, these trucks can pull a wagon, and this is the standard vehicle we will use. I'm hoping we get to that level, because I know since I've been on the last 2 years, we've been back and forth about prices of vehicles. So I hope we
Yeah.
can come with a standard and saying this vehicle could serve this department, two departments, by using the same type of vehicle.
Correct. And one actually is boat harbors and one is flood control, so it can be cross departments. So like they're the same vehicle in both departments. So yes, sir. Mr. Newsom.
Yeah, just a quick question. So I see we have a vehicle each, like Mr. Schultz said, one for the shipyard, for Empire Shipyard, and one for Empire Boat Harbor. Is that two separate, that's two different individuals? Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
H, a resolution to change the date of the Plaquemines Parish Council's second regularly scheduled meeting in January 2025 from January 23rd to 2025 to January 30th, 2025, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Ms. McCarty. What this does is there's actually 5 Thursdays in January. I know parish president, port director, 1, 2, 3, 4 council members are going to be in DC during that week. So since we had the extra Thursday, I'm throwing it out there if we want to change the meeting to the following week. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
I, a resolution authorizing and directing the parish president or his designated do all things necessary and proper to execute, perfect, and enforce any and all documents required for the RAISE grant awarded to the Plaquemines Parish Government from the U.S. Department of Transportation and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Champagne. Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Clarence Blocks, 156, Enos Campbell Lane. Yeah, I've been watching, this meeting.
Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
Take your time. I've been watching the road from White District to Phoenix. They say they're gonna raise that area. Is this what the grant for?
No, sir. This is the grant that was obtained by the port for the Walker Road, Peter Road Bridge to do some re-engineering. And yeah, it's just called the RAISE grant. That's just the name of the grant. So it's a acronym for something, but this is basically the parish is getting involved from the parish standpoint. So we need a CEA and basically sign some documents where we're legal, just where we can move forward. And actually, the state's involved, all that. So yeah.
But I thought it was for two things, either from the highway or raising buildings up.
No, sir. Two different things. Departments.
When I saw raise, I got happy.
And before you go, so what's happening, Department of Transportation is doing all the measurements, looking at what it would take to raise the road. I haven't been seeing them there for a few weeks, but that's what they're doing right now. But that's not no guarantee, but it's on the council, they budget to raise that road, so they're doing all the checks for this. That's what
All right, thanks.
Any other comments from the audience? Administration, table. Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Government to enter into a CEA with the LSPCA and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Ms. McCarty. Any comments from the audience? It's a renewal of a CEA that we have with some, this one's LSPCA, the next one's gonna be the YMCA, and the last one's the Care Center. They use our buildings, and basically, I think we're just renewing the CEAs. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? You good? I'm good. Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Government to enter into a CEA with the YMCA of Greater New Orleans and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Newsom. Same thing, renewing CEAs for the year. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Mr. Newsom?
Yes, on these CEAs, do you guys, I'm sure you guys got a copy of all of this on through administration. Can you forward it to us, to the council members, forward us all the CEAs from LASPCA, YCAS, so you can have a copy on, I can keep a copy on file in my office in case I get any questions. Thank you.
Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
Resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Government to enter into a CEA with the Plaquemines Parish Community Care Center and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
Offer, ask for a second. Second by Ms. McCarty. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
A resolution to authorize the submittal to the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality, the 2021, 2022, and 2023 Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Environmental Audit Report, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Edwards.
You offer, Mr. Edwards? Offer by Mr. Edwards. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Champagne. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
A resolution approving the requested variance filed by Terrell Talamo to vary the required minimum rear yard setback of 25 feet to 16 feet in a R1B zoning district on a portion of ground designated as Lot 79, Phase 1B, the Parks of Plaquemines Subdivision 201, Oak Park Court, Belchase, Louisiana, Plaquemines Parish, Section 2, Township 14 South, Range 24 East, all in accordance with application number 2024-564, dated September 30th, 2024, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Champagne.
Offer by Mr. Champagne, second by Mr. Edwards. You want to speak on that, Mr.?
It's a zoning variance for a shed. You moved in, giving essentially a 9-foot variance because of the regular shape of the lot. The zoning board passed it 9-0. They were in favor of it. So I think it's.
All right, thank you. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Ms. McCarty?
I'm glad the zoning board passed it. I just wanted to ask, is this along the canal or inland? Okay, thank you.
Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
S, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, Port Sulphur 20-inch water line relocation project, and otherwise to provide with respect to Councilmember LaFrance.
Offer by Mr. LaFrance, second by Mr. Newsom. All right, any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
You, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance number 24201, which authorized an act of sale by the parish of Plaquemines to sell certain adjudicated properties by public auction and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Koknovich.
And I'll talk to Mr. Koknovich. He said we can move on this. I offer for Mr. Koknovich. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Table. Machines are open. Oh. Ms. McCarty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Passes 7-0. Next item, please.
And approval of the minutes from the November 14th, 2024 regular meeting, the 2025 proposed budget meeting, and the November 18th, 2024 special meeting.
I offer ask for a second. Second by Reverend Edwards. Do I have any comments from the audience? Administration, table, machines are open. Passes 7-0. Can we go back to intros? Can you read this one? Intro, right?
The following resolution is being offered by Councilmember Champagne, a resolution to rezone those properties located in the Point Celeste Farms owned by or to be acquired by Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District from floodplain district to heavy industrial.
Heavy industrial. All right. Next item, 11. I'm going to defer my 11B since we talked about it. Mr. LaFrance says his is deferred. Mr. Jurisich is not here. Mr. Koknovich is not here. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Newsom. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. LaFrance. Machines are open for adjournment. No, machines are, Mr. LaFrance. Passes 6-0 with Mr. Edwards stepping away. We have adjournment at 11:51 a.m. Merry Christmas.